Tonight on Steelers Talk, there is a new report claiming that the Pittsburgh Steelers are eyeing a Tyreek Hill trade before the NFL trade deadline this year. I'll let you guys know my thoughts on that possibility. Then we'll get into what Mike Tomlin, the head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers, had to say during his Week 2 press conference today. Had some injury updates, some stuff that you guys need to know about. And then we've got more on the Jabril Peppers signing today. More reasons why I love this signing for the black and gold. Before we get into the content today, guys, make sure you click that subscribe button if you haven't already. We are going to be doing a subscriber battle with our frenemies here at the Seahawks Today channel here at Chat Sports. It's our Seahawks channel, and they have currently added 44 new subscribers to their channel just this week. After Week 1 on Sunday. We have added 41 new subscribers, which is pretty darn good, but we're still 3 behind them. I would love to take the lead for good on this video, so click that subscribe button if you haven't already to help us win our Week 2 sub battle. And new viewers, we are counting on you guys to win this sub battle. All the real ones that have already clicked that subscribe button can't help us out here. It's got to be some new blood in the building here getting us over the top. So if you have been watching our channel for a while, you haven't clicked that subscribe button yet, help us win this sub battle here by clicking that subscribe button today. All right, so now let's get into this kind of bombshell, quote-unquote, report from Mike Florio, who says that he has been hearing some quote-unquote chatter that the Pittsburgh Steelers are eyeing a trade for superstar wide receiver Tyreek Hill before the end of the NFL trade deadline this year. Of course, there's been a lot of speculation about the Steelers going out and trading or signing a quote-unquote legit wide receiver too. And this is the latest speculation from Florio. He says there's already chatter in the aftermath of Sunday's win over the Jets that the all-in Steelers could go even more all-in by making a move for Tyreek Hill. Yes, Pittsburgh already has receiver DK Metcalf, who's making $30 million per season on a 5-year deal, but the Steelers don't have a clear-cut number 2. Hill would be the 1B, if not at times 1A, to Metcalf. Why wouldn't quarterback Aaron Rodgers want Hill? The more potent weapons that Rodgers has at his disposal, the better his first year in Pittsburgh will go, and Rodgers will be able to deliver longer throws to Hill, who hasn't had a 30-plus yard reception since Week 1 of last year. Also, between Rodgers and Coach Mike Tomlin and other veteran leaders, the Steelers could potentially manage Hill, who would likely be so thrilled to get to a contender that he'd be on his best behavior for at least the rest of this season. Now, first, guys, I don't necessarily consider Mike Florio a super reliable source. I don't think his sourcing is all that accurate all that often. Just look at the sourcing he's had on the Steelers quarterback situation over the last 2 years. For example, he's not really right all that often, so just keep that in mind. But personally, I'm not touching Tyreek Hill right now. All right, and there's a couple of reasons for that. He is certainly somebody that is fantastic on the field. Honestly, financially, it makes sense too. It's only a $15 million cap hit for the entirety of this season, and obviously that goes down every single week he plays with the Miami Dolphins this year. But we did get a report today from ESPN saying Tyreek Hill's estranged wife has alleged in court filings that he committed domestic violence, which the Dolphins receiver vehemently denied. According to the documents obtained by TMZ, Kita Vaccaro, his former wife, alleges 8 separate incidents of domestic violence in filings related to the couple's divorce case. So listen, man, unfortunately, this isn't the first time that Hill has been accused of this kind of stuff. He's certainly got a history of stuff off the field that's maybe not what the Pittsburgh Steelers are looking for. I mean, isn't off-field drama and stuff like that part of the reason why they got rid of Deontay Johnson and George Pickens? And it just seems like there's a lot of off-field baggage when it comes to Tyreek Hill. Not to mention, he's been somebody that's been pretty stingy when it comes to contract negotiations as well. So if he's going to be here in Pittsburgh long-term, and it's a long-term sort of investment that the Steelers make in him, I don't know if I want to deal with the headache in future off seasons, especially because he has been slowing down in his production over the last 2 seasons. Plus, Calvin Austin III looks like a legit wide receiver too out there, guys. Man, I've been saying this for the last 2 years. On film, Calvin Austin III looks like a legit wide receiver in the NFL. He gets open. He can threaten to all three levels of the field. He's got supreme speed. He's better at the catch point, way better at the catch point than people give him credit for. He had a really nice 50-50 ball catch on the back shoulder ball from Aaron Rodgers in week 1. He caught a touchdown. He is somebody that I thought had a really good performance there. 4 catches, 70 yards, a touchdown. Like, what else are you asking out of your wide receiver too? Like, DK Metcalf's going to get most of the production here in terms of the receiving game as the number 1 receiver. And if you bring in Tyreek Hill, that is a receiver that's going to be expecting to be fed by this team that wants to run the football a lot and wants to feed DK Metcalf a lot. And honestly, in terms of the skill sets here, like Tyreek Hill, Calvin Austin III, even though Hill is bigger than Calvin Austin, very similar skill sets. Speedsters that can threaten to all three levels of the field. They're fantastic after the catch as well. They can run away from people. But Calvin is way less drama. He's far less expensive, and he's not somebody that he's already on the roster, right? So I don't think that this is something that I'm necessarily looking towards if I'm the Pittsburgh Steelers, at least not until the domestic violence stuff maybe clears way for Tyreek Hill. But in terms of their wide receiver 3 situation, Pittsburgh seems like they like their rotation of guys that are in this building. They seem to like Roman Wilson, even though they didn't target him at all in that first game against the Jets. They seem to really like Jonnu Smith, who they really used as that number 3 receiver. They view him as kind of like a big slot type of weapon in this offense that can also give this team a little bit of a blocking advantage. They also put out Ben Skoranek quite a bit in that first game against the Jets. He scored a touchdown. He was excellent as a blocker. So it seems like the Steelers kind of like their setup with the wide receivers right now. But if things kind of clear up with the domestic violence stuff for Hill and, Calvin Austin III, has a couple down games heading into the trade deadline, and you can get Tyreek Hill for a decent price, I might think about it down the road. But right now, guys, I'm pretty happy with what I saw from the Steelers passing attack in week 1 versus the Jets. Rodgers was able to hit his guys. Calvin was getting open consistently. I expect DK Metcalf to get fed the football this week versus the Seattle Seahawks and throughout the rest of the season. And then the supplementary weapons that they have here, Jonnu, Pat Freiermuth, Ben Skoranek, they all look good in week 1 as well. And I'm hoping Roman Wilson continues to improve as the season goes on as well. So we'll see if this turns into anything before we get to the trade deadline. But for now, guys, I'm not touching Tyreek Hill. So what say you guys? Let me know down there in the comment section. Would you trade a 3rd-round pick? The Steelers have multiple 3rd-rounders this year, by the way. Would you trade one of them to go get Tyreek Hill, the cheetah? Give me yes or no down there in the comment section. In just a second here, I'm going to tell you about today's sponsor. While I'm talking about today's sponsor, go down there in the comment section and let me know yes or no. And with that, let's have a word from our sponsor today at Ethos. And guys, the summer before I started here at Chat Sports, unfortunately, my family lost my late grandfather. And as you tend to do when you lose a loved one, you begin to think about your own mortality and what would happen to the people dependent on you if something were to happen. With today's sponsor, Ethos, your family can be protected. Cassie and I are getting married soon, and shortly after that, I imagine we'll buy a house and start having some kids. If something were to happen to me, I want the last thing the people I love to worry about is being able to pay the bills, so I trust Ethos to keep them protected. Ethos is an online platform that makes getting life insurance fast and easy to protect your family's future in minutes, not months. There's no complicated process, and it's 100% online. There's no medical exam required, and you just answer a few health questions to get a quote in as little as 10 minutes. Protect your family with life insurance from Ethos today. Get your free quote at ethos.com/NFL Daily. That's ethos.com/NFL Daily to get your free quote today. So today it was Tomlin Tuesday. Coach T took the podium, gave some injury updates, and then explained a couple things that we saw in the Week 1 season opener here versus the New York Jets as we prepare for this Week 2 matchup in the home opener versus the Seattle Seahawks. He did give us an update here on some injuries. 3 players that will be out with knee issues. Derrick Harmon, Deshon Elliott, and Malik Harrison will all be out with knee issues. But we did get a report today. I believe it was from Alan Saunders from Steelers Now. He's been on the show. He reported today that Harmon is on track to return for Week 3 versus the New England Patriots. So, when he was carted off the field, in that preseason game, I think we all kind of thought that his season was over, but just to lose him for probably 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks, maybe at the absolute most, that's good. That's extremely good news if you're a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. And, if the run defense was any indication the first week of the season, and if that continues into the Seahawks game. This defense needs Derrick Harmon to get back into the lineup and fast. But some optimistic injury statuses here. Joey Porter Jr. Tightened up his hamstring during the game against the Jets. They held him out for the rest of the game to prevent further injury. But Mike Tomlin said that he's got an optimistic status to play versus Seattle this week. And then Nick Herbig, Mike Tomlin actually used the phrase really optimistic for his hamstring injury. He almost played last week. He was held out. This week it appears that Nick Herbo is going to be able to go here in week 2. But Tomlin also said, speaking of the defensive line here, that Pittsburgh is not going to make any adjustments to the defensive line. They're going to continue to play Keanu Benton at nose tackle. And he said that it's quote-unquote reasonable to expect Keanu to play better going from week 1 to week 2. But I just think that, personally, I've been discussing this on the show the last couple of days, guys. I just disagree with this call from Tomlin. I think that the best way to use Keanu Benton, I've been honestly saying this on the show for the last couple of years, the best way to use him is as a disruptor. If you're going to use him as somebody that's going to take on double teams and absorb all those, those two big bodies trying to push him backwards, it's just not his skill set, all right? And I think that he has been a big reason why this run defense in Pittsburgh has been kind of squishy over the last several years, is because I think he's being played out of position. I think he can make such a bigger impact if he's allowed to penetrate more, as opposed to being asked to two-gap, as opposed to being asked to take on those double teams that I think rookie Y.A. Black, who's 340 pounds and has long arms, is way more capable of doing that kind of stuff. So, I don't think it was just Keanu Benton. Honestly, the run game was a complete mess from the first and second levels for the Pittsburgh Steelers on Sunday. I thought that the linebacker play was really not what I was expecting. Patrick Queen, a former All-Pro. Patrick Queen, somebody that was very highly touted coming into this year, really underperformed. And really the issue was, guys, first of all, I thought Patrick Queen looks like he maybe has lost a step a little bit. He used to be one of the fastest linebackers in the league. He was consistently getting beaten to the spot. But a big issue with those linebackers, Wilson and Queen, I caught them being out of position and out of their respective run fit a couple of times on film, and it allowed some very open run lanes for Breece Hall and Braylon Allen to exploit. So you're really expecting more out of this linebacker group. These guys have the potential to be one of the better linebacker duos in the National Football League. But when your interior defensive line is as squishy as it was, along with the fact that you got some linebackers in Peyton and Patrick that weren't in the right place. Sometimes they were trying to shoot gaps and trying to make a play in the backfield, and they left a lane wide open. You just got to do your job out there. You don't have to do anything more. And I'm hoping that we see Keanu Benton, Patrick Queen, and Peyton Wilson play a hell of a lot better than they did in week 1, or else Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet might be having themselves a day at Acrisure Stadium on Sunday. But with that said, man, give the Jets O-line their credit. Armin Membu, the rookie out of Missouri, really shut down TJ Watt, which is no easy feat. He did have a lot of chip help throughout the game on film, but most guys, even with chip help, have trouble with TJ Watt. So the fact that in his first ever NFL game, he was able to really shut down the pass rush with TJ Watt, and then his ability to run block was excellent as well. I thought Fashanu had a good game as well. Another former first-round pick on that O-line. John Simpson was moving people. That Joe Tippmann did a really good job moving over to right guard, and then Josh Myers, who's been playing with the Packers for many years, he didn't miss a beat either. So kudos to the New York Jets. That's a better football team than people think, man. I keep hearing people say, the Steelers barely beat the Jets. The Steelers must stink. And it's like, no, the Jets, I think, are actually a pretty good football team this year, especially on offense. I think they might be the second best team in the AFC East. And I think maybe 6-7 weeks down the road, that we view that game a little bit better. But then, another thing that Tomlin addressed today was the wide receiver position, specifically Roman Wilson, and why he only played 10 snaps and he didn't get the football once. Not a single target for Roman. This is what Mike Tomlin had to say in terms of his explanation for why that was. I have no intentions of explaining the minutia of rep distribution week in and week out. We got a really good collective. In some instances, highly specialized skill sets. In some weeks, those skill sets will be highlighted and utilized, and sometimes they will be minimized. It is just a component of winning football games in today's NFL, and it really does not require a lot of explanation. Well, here's the thing, Mike. I think it does, because you drafted this kid in the 3rd round, and every time he's healthy and available to you and Steelers fans are expecting him to play and play a lot, he doesn't. And, last year it was, he's getting on a moving train. And, he was a healthy scratch multiple times last year. And the question was, what is wrong with Roman Wilson? And Mike Tomlin would say, nothing's wrong with Roman Wilson. And we're like, we don't believe you because you're not putting him out on the field and you're not prioritizing him. If he was lighting it up in practice and he has earned the trust of Aaron Rodgers, he'd be out there more. That is just plain and simple, man. And it just feels like Mike Tomlin at this point is protecting Roman Wilson. Maybe he's telling the truth, and maybe, they view him more as just like a true deep threat, and they didn't have a lot of opportunities to get him the football in those types of instances. And maybe they just focused on the bigger bodies, Skoranek, Jonnu Smith a little bit more. But man, it's certainly concerning that Roman Wilson, we're at this point here where he's fully healthy and he's only getting 10 snaps after being a third-round pick last year. Now today, the Pittsburgh Steelers did sign safety Jabril Peppers to a 1-year contract. I really like this signing, guys. I broke down why I like this signing more in depth in our earlier video today, so I will point you guys in that direction if you want to get a full in-depth analysis there on Jabril Peppers and a lot of the points that I made about his previous stats, what he brings to the Steelers defense from a schematic standpoint, and then when Deshon Elliott gets back from his injury, which is just going to be in a couple of weeks, what Peppers' role will look like in this Steelers defense. I'll put the link to that one in the comments and description of today's show and put the chip in the top right if you want to check out that video. But I do have some more little points that I want to share with you guys here. Over the last 2 years, Jabril Peppers is the 4th highest graded safety in the National Football League. So even though he's getting a little bit older, 30, he's turning 30 here pretty soon, a 90.1 PFF grade is an elite grade, all right? That is not very easy to get, all right? That's like TJ Watt level PFF grading right there. And Peppers is somebody that flies around, super smart player, savvy, athletic, hell of a, hits hard, plays the game the right way. He's the type of guy you want on your defense, okay? And you take a look at the first month of 2024 before he was put on the commissioner's exempt list for being arrested on drug and domestic violence charges. You take a look at the numbers, man. He was playing better than just about any safety in the National Football League. 6th in PFF grade with an 82.9. And by the way, his PFF grade was even higher the year before that. His coverage grade was 4th among safeties as well. He only allowed 17 receiving yards through the first month of the season last year, and he allowed a 22.6 passer rating. So this guy can cover. He can play in the post if you need him to. He's fast enough to do that, but he's certainly got the size and tackling ability to play strong safety. That's what this team is going to be asking him to do here over at least the next 2 weeks while Deshon Elliott gets better with his knee injury. But I also realized after I kind of did our breaking news video today, guys, we got another revenge game for the Pittsburgh Steelers to start the 2025 season, this time against the New England Patriots. Next week, when the Steelers travel to Foxborough to take on Mike Vrabel and Drake May there in week 3. And the first 5 games of the Steelers schedule this year, guys, is going to be a revenge tour, all right? That first week, of course, it was Rodgers' revenge game against the Jets. This week, it is DK Metcalf's revenge game versus the Seattle Seahawks. By the way, if you have DK Metcalf in fantasy, start him because he's going to be getting the football. Week 3, you got Jabril Peppers' revenge game because the Patriots just released him. And then you got week 4 in Dublin versus the Vikings. The Vikings said, we're good to Aaron Rodgers. We're going with J.J. McCarthy, who didn't look all that great on Monday Night Football. He looked pretty good in the 4th quarter, but for 3 quarters, he looked pretty darn bad. I think with Rodgers, they might win that game by 3 touchdowns. That's just my personal opinion, though. I'm hoping Rodgers and this Steelers defense can embarrass the Minnesota Vikings there in Dublin. And then in week 6, Juan Thornhill. And by the way, Jabril Peppers, too. He started his career in Cleveland. It's going to be kind of a double revenge game there, and we play those guys twice. So definitely a fun way to start the season here with a lot of emotions, a lot of reasons to play for your teammates. And I think that's awesome for the Pittsburgh Steelers to have this motivation. And by the way, I think they can easily win all 5 of these games, man. Obviously, they've already got one of them, but the Seahawks, man, only scored 13 points yesterday against kind of a squishy San Francisco defense and interior defensive line. Then we got the Patriots, who looked terrible against the Las Vegas Raiders, okay? And then you got the Vikings, who didn't look good for 3 quarters straight against Chicago. And if the Bears don't just hand them the victory in the 4th quarter, they might lose by 3 scores. And then the Browns, I mean, they couldn't even beat the Bengals, who had 7 yards the entire second half. All right, and the Steelers are coming off a bye in that game. So, and then, by the way, in week 7, you played the Bengals on Thursday Night Football. They're very beatable as well. Okay, so, like, you look at these first 6 games, you could be looking at 6-0, very realistically. All right, now maybe there's a game in here where the Steelers lose a game that maybe they should win, but the Steelers absolutely, at least based on the Week 1 performances here, are set up to have a very, very good start to their 2025 campaign. And by the time we get to that Green Bay Packer game on Sunday Night Football, the game that I think really starts the season for the Pittsburgh Steelers in terms of their difficulty and their difficult opponents, this team could easily be sitting at 6-0, 5-1, and well on their way to yet another playoff berth here in Pittsburgh. So let me know what you guys think down there in the comment section. How many games in a row will the Steelers win to start the year before they lose? All right, let me know what you guys think. Are they going to win just one and lose this week to Seattle? Do you think they're going to win 5 in a row? Do you think they're going to win 6 in a row, 7, 8? How many wins in a row? Do you think they win 16, 17? Let me know what you guys think down there in the comment section. Right now, I would say there's no reason why you can't win every single game before that Packer game. So if you're going to put my feet to the fire, I'm going to go ahead and say the first 6 games the Steelers win this year. That's going to be it for today's show, guys. Thank you so much for subscribing to the channel, for watching today's video to the very end. Thanks for waking up with us this morning with the breaking news of Jabril Peppers signing with the Pittsburgh Steelers. It's been a fun day of Steelers content here. We got more coming your way as we prepare for Week 2 versus the Seattle Seahawks. So make sure you guys click that subscribe button if you haven't already. Until next time, guys, here we go, Steelers.